Hey everybody, and welcome to the Irish Wrestling Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined today by the Goldenboy Santos. He's got the Midas touch and he is headed to our shores for OTT in December. Santos, how are things? How are you getting on?
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me. It really means a lot to me, even
Absolutely.
more when I'm trying to get my foot in the Irish scene. It means a lot to me to have this kind of attention. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Not a problem at all. Just so everybody knows, like we mentioned at the start, you are going to be in Irish shores. You're facing Sammy D at the, now this is what I call Christmas, for the OTT Championship. And you're also facing Big Damo the next day in Belfast. Um, Two big, massive matches for yourself. Before we get into those matches, we're just going to touch on your background. Before you became a professional wrestler, you've won 4 national championships in basketball in Portugal. When did you decide basketball's not for me and you wanted to become a wrestler? What was your background growing up? Were you more a basketball fan than a wrestling fan when
So
you grew up?
yeah, growing up, we only got access to wrestling like at the 205 at 2005
Okay.
boom with WWE going on national TV.
Yeah.
And the kids from my generation, like the 90s, late 90s, um, really got involved during that time. But at some point, they start going on cable, so not everyone had access to it. So that after that, that will change, and I kind of lost the contact with wrestling. Kind of went
Okay.
through my life, and I just experiment some sports, and I was fortunate to have my body tailored for basketball, I
Yeah.
can say. And I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed the experience, the team effort, the spectacular of the sport. It was very fascinating for me, and all the hard working. I was training almost every day and playing on a Saturday or Sunday. So I had that mentality already in me since I was a kid, like the grinding,
Yeah.
and it was really fun for me and helped me a lot as a young athlete and a young man to really take things seriously. Whatever you go through, you take it with the more serious you
Yeah.
can, so you can achieve the best you can. Because, in my opinion, if you go halfway through something in life, you shouldn't be doing that. I think everything you do that makes you happy, you should go all the way in.
Absolutely.
But once again, that's my vision on it, and it's the vision I carried on through the wrestling part.
Yeah, well, like
And
you
yeah,
said, it's got a, the basketball thing, leading teams to, 4 national titles is going to stand to you on the wrestling side of, that commitment and, being passionate and persistent on trying to achieve your goals. And, you've got that leadership quality, like you never give up kind of attitude. So, that's the kind of attitude you need to become a successful wrestler. You can't.
exactly. Even more like since the first day I came to Ireland, I noticed that there was a lot of similarities with the Portuguese.
Mhm.
Uh, first of all, first of all, we're always compared to some countries or some other guys. They're close to us. They're bigger. They're more successful. So that kind of makes something burn inside of us.
Yeah, yeah.
And I noticed the Irish have that too, like
Yeah.
regarding the British.
Yeah, I
And
understand. Yeah, so whenever Portugal win the European, or if they won in the soccer, if they won a tournament and Spain didn't, it's a massive thing for Portugal. And Ireland don't really win
and
tournaments in soccer, but it's nice to win something.
but it's that feeling like
Mm,
I think the Portuguese and the Irish are not even considered contenders to win big stuff because
yeah,
we're always compared to the next bigger thing
yeah, yeah,
beside us, and that kind of sparks the flame that I like to call it, the Irish flame, but also the Portuguese flame, that underdog
yeah,
mentality. And
yeah.
I think it's raised since we're kids, uh, in Ireland as well, in Portugal, and I think there's a lot of similarities in that.
Hmm.
And for sure, like the grind, I always had that mentality since I was a kid, since I started playing sports. I like to win. I really like to win, and I like to do well, and I like my team to do well. So that kind of carries on to wrestling. because wrestling, you want it or not, is a team sport. You
Absolutely.
cannot do wrestling alone.
No.
You need to have your companions to go and perform the best way possible, so you can perform the best way possible, so the show can run the best way possible. And
100%.
that's the similarities on that.
Yeah. When did you decide, we're going to make the move? You took a sacrifice and you jumped to Germany, you went to WXW and you moved everything over. When did you decide that? What made you change your mind and just like, I'm going to go for this?
It was, I can precisely say when it started, but I can see a moment where everything changed the way I saw, because I left basketball due to college. I couldn't focus on both things,
Okay.
and I knew that I couldn't be a professional basketball player full time and get some decent income, because first of all, basketball doesn't pay that well.
Yeah.
At least in Portugal, it's not a valued sport, and unless you're in the big team like Benfica or Porto or Sporting,
Yeah.
it's very unlikely you can live on from basketball, just from basketball.
Of course.
So I decided to cut on that heavy schedule that I'd have and just focus on college. But at the same time, I needed something to do, because I was doing sports since I was a kid. I always had that schedule, like school sports, and I was missing the sports part, the competitive part. And I had people like trying to get me on to rugby, to American football, to even like small college soccer competitions that we had. But that didn't really like gave me a spark or anything. So I don't remember how that happened, but I came across um, Instagram ad or Facebook ad, I don't remember, with a promotion here in Portugal doing a seminar with a guy who's not really doing good right now, because yeah, circumstances of Marty's curl.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah, and I didn't really realize that first there would be wrestling in Portugal. I didn't know it existed, and second that they were bringing people in that were actually professionals doing this independently
Yeah.
to try to teach people here. So that really sparked interest in me. So I've tried it. I found it very different from whatever I did before in the past. It was a really different sport to practice, and it really hurts
Yeah.
especially in the beginning. Like it hurts all the time, but in the beginning especially.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I started in there. Eventually in 2017, I got a seminar with Pete Dunne. He was fresh out of the UK tournament, and I remember watching the UK tournament live, um, and that really kind of got me close to like this might be not that far as we think, because we grow up with the image that bigger promotions and contract promotions are so far away from us.
Yeah.
Like WWE's in America. America for me as
It's
a
a
Portuguese kid is very far.
long way away. Yeah.
Yeah, a long way. So having that guy there telling us his experience, motivating us, and really getting us to believe that it's possible to make it if you want it, really opened my eyes on the way I saw wrestling. And I talked to myself and I said, if I want to continue doing this, I need to pursue this. Otherwise, there's no reason to be battering my body and
Yeah.
breaking my back without trying to go all in on this. And that's what I did. Like a year after, I went to Germany to a seminar with Ringkampf, Tim Thatcher, and
Yeah.
Walter in WXW. I went there and stayed for a week in Killer Kelly's place, and she kind of got me around, and um, she she helped me with that adjustment in the beginning, and I fell in love. It kind of looks like I'm exaggerating, but it was what I felt at the time, because I went to Germany and I saw all the infrastructure in independent wrestling, like the big warehouse with the rings, with
Yeah.
the office, all the level of professionalism that I didn't know it existed outside of WWE. So I remember telling her, like, if I want to be a professional wrestler, this is the place I need to be. And I made a promise to her, and I made a promise to myself that 1 year from that day, I would move to Germany. And the story that I told, it was a story that ended up happening. 1 year after, I was with all my bags packed with my parents at the airport, going to I don't know where. I had only 1 month of a place to stay. I didn't really know how I was gonna do that, but I knew that I had to try. And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. I don't care. I just need to try, and I need to see how this goes.
Yeah, well, you have to, like you said, you have to make the sacrifice in wrestling. It's not going to fall in your lap. You have to, everybody pretty much, 99% of the people who became wrestlers, struggled, or they grew up, or they slept in people's couches or in their car, and they struggled and grinded and grinded until they finally got to where they wanted to be. So it's starting to pay off. Like, you're starting to get a lot of notice. People are talking about you online. And it's obviously showing over here in Ireland. We've seen you a few times for OTT, and now you're coming back and you're getting a chance to face, like we said at the start, to face Sammy D for the OTT Championship. How was that? When did you actually find that out? Did you get a phone call to say it, or did you just see it on social media and it's like, oh shit?
Like I told you before, I saw it the same time you all saw it. I was as surprised as you are. That I got really overwhelmed. Like, I got to meet Sammy at the first OTT seminar, and I
Mm-hmm.
could see how how intelligent he is and the way that he approaches wrestling, how smart he is. And I think, like, my opinion, it's really criminal how he is not well known around, like, all the promotions in Europe, like
Yeah.
Rev Pro, Progress, WXW. It's criminal. Like, Sammy is such a good mind for wrestling, and I think all the work he put in OTT for these years
Yeah.
should be looked at more.
I think it's something that he's looking at himself. I think he's going to be doing a lot more outside of Ireland in 2024. I think it's something that he's looking into himself about, going out and showing the world what he's made of, because he is still pretty young, like, so he has years ahead of him to show off what he can do to all other promotions. You're also facing Big Damo on the same weekend, former WWE star. That must be a dream come true when you see, like you said, you're watching, NXT or seeing him on TV, and now you're getting the chance to go in the ring toe to toe with him.
It's actually mind blowing. Like, uh, is the wrestling that we got in touch with Portugal was especially, like, NXT was really buzzing here. So we got, like, a lot of influence of the black and yellow brand of
Mm-hmm.
NXT, and of course, like, Big Damo, formerly known as Killian Dane, had a big impact and has a lot of big impact on how big guys wrestling.
Yeah.
And it didn't start like in NXT. I remember him from Rev Pro, from What Culture. The way he wrestles is the way that I like to, or I'd like to emulate. That big man Atlas style
Mm-hmm.
match, that really was really what got me in love with independent wrestling, was that 2017 Atlas division with
Yeah.
Rampage, Walter, all those big guys. That's the style that I love. That's the style that I would like to do more. And I couldn't ask for a better person to learn from and to work with. That Big Damo. He's
Yeah.
one of the biggest names in Europe
Yeah,
by
and
far.
like I said before, he is like literally the nicest guy in wrestling. He's so, for building a match around him, like, he's so given towards his opponents. He, like, whenever they're, if anything happens throughout the match, he's always there for them. He's such a just a nice guy all around. You mentioned Walter there as well. Walter had a hand in training you, did he? He was there for some of your training.
Yeah, he was, like, especially in the first months when I was in WXW. because after that he got signed to NXT UK, and he wasn't around as much. He would still come during the week and schedule training with the advanced students of the academy, and he would call me on sometimes when he was around. But it's like I said, he had a big influence on the way that I approach wrestling, the way I think about wrestling. And he's like, since the beginning, he's a very big inspiration for me. Inside of the ring, the way he carries he carries himself outside of the ring. He's a pro, and is what everyone should like aim to be in wrestling. He's a true pro and has an aura that it's very rare in wrestling. That kind of aura.
Yeah, it is. He's been smashing it. You know, he's been Intercontinental Champion for over a year, which is, you know, crazy to see in WWE. Someone outside of America, you know, getting that sort of a push. You know, he's been unbelievable since he's been there, and the fact that, you know, nobody has been able to beat him just shows a testament to the strength and character that he has. So it must be amazing to learn off something, you know, somebody like that.
He is, and he teaches the way I like to be taught, like very direct, very like assertive. Is that assertive a word?
Yeah.
A word? Yeah, assertive. He goes straight to the problem, and that's, as I told you, connecting to the sports background. I like coaches that are like that. They are not afraid to hurt your feelings or something like that. That they go straight to the point and tell you, this is shit. Do this. Don't do that. And I can take it. Like, that's the way I like to be taught. And then I think it worked for me.
Yeah, it's working anyway. You, outside of wrestling, you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. How advanced are you in that? Is that something you've been doing for a couple of years, or?
It kind of started during the pandemic, because as I had to leave Germany and things were, I was trying to build up my things here, like getting a job to get some money, to save more money, and trying to have more activities related to wrestling that made me improve, even if I was not training.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know at that time if I still wanted to come back to Germany or not. So if the call came and the COVID situation got better, I needed to be ready to perform. I didn't know what it would come, but I needed to stay ready. And that's the mentality that I keep till today. Always stay ready, because you don't know when there is going to be a time where they're going to book you against the champion and a former WWE superstar. So you need to be ready. You need to be always ready. And that's where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came to my life. I found it very useful, especially in the body language and the way you approach wrestling without being wrestling, always being ready, always being alert. And that's something that I think a lot of people are missing. Like, they are very good at wrestling, but they're small. Made a big influence in my wrestling.
Okay. And do you incorporate a lot of jiu-jitsu into your wrestling style?
Not as much that as I would like. I had actually the Ambition tournament for WXW. I had a match there. Like, it's like more of a shoot style wrestling, like based in martial arts, that I got to perform a little bit more and show off a little bit more of my jiu-jitsu. But other than that, I think it's just movement wise and the way I react to stuff, I think, or the way that I defend submissions, like small stuff that I think you can see.
Yeah. It's something a lot of wrestlers have incorporated. I can't go back as far as, you know, when Ken Shamrock or Dan Severn came into wrestling and they started using their style of MMA in the wrestling world and showed how it actually can be used without actually hurting people. So it looks legit as much as they can make it look legit. So it's always nice to see how it's progressed for the last 20 or 30 years in the wrestling industry, where people are able to use, you know, certain holds, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu holds or other martial arts within the wrestling industry. It's you know, makes it completely different than just standard, you know, wrestling match.
Just by mixing it up, it gets the match more interesting, I think. especially when there's a clash of styles. If you have a striker against a grappler, you have the story already.
Yeah,
So you just have to work with it.
absolutely. You're also you mentioned in the past you were a pro gamer. You touched on or take a
Yeah,
word
like
for
that's really funny because um when I grew up, I was and I still am to a point, a bit of a nerd, and I always liked gaming. I always liked games. I always like to join my friends and in Skype or TeamSpeak
it.
or Discord and get some games in. And actually, in college, like the year I left basketball, I was playing a bit more, and we got a team like from our college, and we actually went to the finals, the nationals of League of Legends. Yeah, we got a third place. It was fun.
Nice.
I mean, it was different. It was not the sport that I was used to do, but it was something else.
But it has that
And
competitive nature that you have,
it
gotten
is,
since
it is, it
basketball.
is, it
That
is.
that's again, it's one of those things that's you either have it or you don't. You have to be competitive or you're not competitive. I don't think there's any in between. You have to want to win. You have to have that winning mentality.
Yeah, if you're not in it to win, just stay home and let the guys who want to win win. That's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Like before I let you go, like I said at the start, we like to do before we finish off any of our interviews, we always like to do like 10 things you should know about our guests. So this is 10 things that everybody in Ireland or watching around the world is going to find out about you. Are you ready to play 10 things?
Let's go. Test me.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Beef or chicken?
Beef. We gotta go with beef.
Squats or deadlifts?
Squats.
Oh, nice.
Squats.
Cats or dogs?
I actually have a cat, so
Oh,
I'm gonna
really?
go with cats.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant. Rear naked or triangle choke?
Rear naked. More controlled.
Nice. Christmas or Halloween?
We don't have the Halloween tradition,
Oh, no.
so uh, I'm not a big Christmas fan, but between those two, I'll go
Okay,
Christmas.
no problem. A three-pointer or a slam dunk?
Oh, that's a hard one. Probably a three-pointer.
Nice.
I don't know.
Um, Sega or Nintendo?
I'm you're going to give me the hard question for last. As I'm a late 90s kid, I'm gonna go Nintendo.
Oh, nice. Okay. Uh, Favorite match of all time?
Oof, tough one. I'm gonna give you two. I'm gonna
Okay,
give
yeah.
you the first big match that I've watched as a kid that really sparked something in me. And I'm gonna give you one of the latest. So I'm gonna go Batista Triple H in WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, this is really hard. I'm gonna give you an OTT one.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Devlin versus Walter, where Walter wins the belt.
Nice.
I think
Excellent.
the finish was excellent played by those two. They're fantastic wrestlers.
Brilliant. I'm glad you mentioned Walter because the last question is Walter or Gunther?
Tough one. I'm gonna go Walter.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
That's
gonna go
okay.
Walter.
That's okay. It's a tough one when you see two different versions of them and you're scared of both of them.
Yeah, fair. Like, and he could possibly catch me if I run from him. So there's no really where to escape. So
he's he's got everything.
yeah.
Right before we let you go, have you anything else coming up before heading into 2024 besides your OTT appearances? Where can everyone find you?
No, this year was the last dates, these two Christmas dates, and eventually in January I'll be having my first defend of the Portuguese Absolute Championship
Okay.
for Portugal WrestleFest late January. We still didn't announce the date,
Okay.
but should be around. And people can find me on Instagram and on Twitter /X at Santos Pro 96.
Absolutely.
And once again, I'm gonna have to thank you for this opportunity, this platform to
Absolutely.
introduce myself to the Irish fans.
No
And I'd
problem.
like to thank OTT and the Irish fans for giving me this chance that I was really, really, really hoping that one day would appear. And it was looking like forever. I'm prepared for a long time, and that's good in one point. And I'm ready to give my best, and I hope I don't disappoint you, and I give you a good showing.
We're all looking forward to it. We think you'll be back a lot more to OTT than just this weekend or in December coming up. Lads, as always, like, comment, subscribe. We thank Santos for joining us today, and make sure you go out and see him at OTT. That's what I call Christmas on December 16th. Santos, pleasure. Thanks for your time. Have a good
Thank
time.
you so much.
Have a good
Thank you so
weekend.
much.
Cheers,
Have a good
Sam.
weekend.
See you, man.